Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome from wherever you are joining from. Good evening, good morning. Welcome to the Polar Adventure Company Partner Spotlight. And today we have with us Quark Expeditions going beyond with new ships and helicopters. I have here on camera with me, I've got Jake Morrison from Quark Expeditions.
Hello,
And
everyone.
also, and I also have Jason Hillier from Polar Adventure Company. In the background, we have Clayton Anderson. He is another partner in the Polar Adventure Company. He'll be moderating the questions. And of course, there's myself, and I'll do a bit more intro on Jake in a second here. But before we get into that, a quick little bit of housekeeping for everyone who's joining. We join everyone in mute mode, so no one can speak, but you can hear, of course. So hopefully you can hear. If you do have a question, there is a Q&A button that you should find at the top of your Teams or wherever it may be on your screen, a Q&A feature. Chat has been turned off, but you can ask questions. And if you choose not to, if you don't want people to know who you are, you can ask in anonymous mode, and then we'll answer the questions at the very end of the webinar. And if we do run out of time and we can't get to all the questions, we will email you or contact you afterwards with the answers to those questions. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so myself again, Thomas Lennartz. I'm a partner and managing director here at the Polar Adventure Company. I've been doing polar expeditions, guiding, former expedition leader, also former executive at actually at Quark Expeditions for a good 8 years. And I've been going to the polar regions for, those 22 years, and really just love being able to talk to people about the polar regions and really matching up people with the right experience for them, whether it's a wildlife safari in the Arctic, or if it's an expedition cruise to Antarctica or the Arctic. And I'm really pleased to have here Jake Morrison. Jake and I actually worked together for quite a while at Quark Expeditions for a good many years. And Jake, you were with Quark even before I joined. So you were there a good 14 years or so. But maybe instead of me going on about what you do, tell us about yourself and a little bit what got you into expedition cruising.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here with you. And yeah, I've been with Quark since 2010, and I've sailed on over 10 vessels and worked in a variety of positions during that time. I come from an operations background and have, enjoyed exploring the polar regions extensively with Quark. And I have been involved in the Ultramarine project. That's our purpose-built expedition vessel. I've been there since before she was Ultramarine in the shipyard in Croatia, up until the launch, and I've worked on her every season since then. So that's what a lot of my energy is focused on now is Ultramarine, and particularly the helicopter programs that we run on there.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. And one of the value proposition of Polar Venture Company is that we've got a lot of in-depth knowledge and experience across all the operators. I of course know a lot about Quark. Jason Hillier, who you see in the top right corner there as well, has been with a lot of other operators as well. And we really try to bring not just our knowledge to those who come and contact Polar Adventure Company, but we try to bring experts from those operators like Jake to talk a bit more in depth about what's coming up. So what we're going to talk about today, and I'm super excited because Quarks has had an amazing season up in the Canadian Arctic. So wanted to bring Jake here to talk a little bit more about what their experience was in the Arctic area this past season. Also a little bit about what's coming up and what's exciting for them, for the expedition team, because the expedition teams are so critical in delivering an amazing experience. And if they get excited by something, that passion and that it's really contagious for all the guests on board. So really wanted to get that firsthand, from Jake and team as to what's coming up for Quark that you guys who are listening here should be excited about too. The next 30 minutes, we're going to fly through 4 main topics. Again, why customers choose Quark from all the operators that what makes them want to pick a Quark trip, what we love about the Quark ships. Again, about what the excites Jake and Expedition Team and about Quark for the Arctic and Antarctica season, and then some offers from Quark at the very end, followed by our live Q&A with myself, Jason Clayton, and Jake here to answer any questions you may have. And again, you can ask them in anonymous mode if you don't want anyone to know who you are. So first of all, why do customers choose Quark? First of all, it's there's different levels of authenticity, I guess you could say, with between operators from and Quark, because they only do polar, and they've been doing polar since 1991. They call it an authentic adventure. It's not 5-star luxury with butlers or rose petals, but really it's about an off-ship experience, about really augmenting everything off the ship, from adventure options, having the right ships, having a really super expedition team with lots of experienced specialists, putting a lot of them on the ships to really extract all the knowledge or experience that you can out of a trip. You've got a lot of pre-bookable options or adventure options, because sometimes people just want to know, I've got a spot. And in some cases, other operators include kayaking, for example, but you just don't actually know if you can actually get a spot or not. What's nice about having pre-bookable options is that you know that when you're going to go, you pretty much have a spot that you can get, for example, kayaking or camping. Lots of solo options. We get a lot of solo people contacting us about how to get to Antarctica, and Quark's got single cabins. They have ability to share cabins with others, or even dedicated solo cabins. So you got a lot of options for solo travelers. And honestly, what we love the most is the helicopters that Quark has on their new ship. And I think Jake is going to speak a little bit more about that in a second. And ultimately, you just get a really high return on the experience that you invest in for your trip. Quark's also got some really great ships. We've got the Ultramarine and the Ocean Explorer. Both of these were actually built. Actually, Jake and I were talking before this. They both were built in 2021, so they're both new ships to Quark. Quark purpose-built the Ultramarine under 200, and there's some really lovely things about it. It's brand new, extra large windows, extra large cabins, so it's a really airy, light ship on the inside. Our experience on board, with the solo cabins with floor-to-ceiling windows, really tries to bring the outside into the ship. Again, we love the helicopters. They've got 4 access points, ready rooms down at the water level. So you can really get off the ship quickly. Lots of adventure options, and of course the expedition team. It's really is probably, one can say, one of the top-rated expedition teams in the industry that the industry actually looks up to. Now, Jake is, of course, from the expedition team and expedition leader. Jake, talk to me a little about the expedition team on board Quark. What is it that makes it so highly regarded in the industry?
Well, one is just the sheer size of the expedition team. So we have a range of specialties and backgrounds on the team that allow us to provide an education, the extra stories from personal experiences in the polar regions over their lifetime there, and the really good ratios as well, being able to, like, one staff member for like every 6 guests on board really gives more opportunities for personal interactions with the expedition team.
No, it's true. And so, like, when we move over to the Ocean Explorer, there's a lot of similarities. First of all, aside from its cool looks, it is one of those the new X-Bow technology ships that are purported to be able to slice through the waves versus ride up and over them. It's got the great front windows that the atrium that you can see outside. I think I was on the ship in Reykjavik a few years ago, and it just was really an impressive small vessel. Really happy to see that Quark's taken this vessel for this coming Antarctica season and beyond. So she's got a lot of observation decks. That we love the jacuzzi tubs on board. That it's really a sustainable ship with its MAGS system. For those that don't know, that's the micro auto gasification system that reduces waste by 95%. And once again, the expedition team coming here on board is really high ratio of like 1 expedition team for 6 guests. Now, Jake, I know you haven't been on this ship just yet because it's pretty new to Quark. What's the buzz at Quark or the expedition team? What are you guys excited about this new ship in the fleet?
There's a lot of excitement from the expedition team about this ship. For one, is the size, just having 138 guests. It's something that our team really liked about former small ships that Quark has run, just to really give that intimate experience on board. And there are a lot of nice modern touches that come along with it as well. It's really looks purpose built for the areas that we're going, with these touches of luxury as well.
Yeah, no, it's really going to be good. And for those guests who are perhaps more motion sickness prone, using this ship to cross the Drake Passage is a good alternative, versus a fly cruise, which definitely has a premium to fly over it. So we'll have to see if that holds true. It doesn't completely eradicate the big waves, but definitely will help with its new bow technology and as well as stabilizers and dynamic positioning.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the X-Bow and crossing the Drake. I mean, Ultramarine is very stable as well with the stabilization system. Guests are quite happy with how stable she is as well. But yeah, the technology with the X-Bow on Ocean Explorer, we're excited to see what that's like as well.
Exactly. Well, so I'm gonna turn it over to Jake in a little bit more here, but quickly just wanted to go through the Arctic and the Antarctica and the differences. And this is the two places where Quark goes, of course. A is the Arctic, which is a large frozen ocean surrounded by land, where polar bears roam and no penguins. And then you have on the right-hand side here, we've got the Antarctic continent, which is surrounded then by water, and this is where we find penguins, no polar bears. So, Jake, I think what I wanted to really kind of get into is we've got upcoming now the 24-25 Antarctica season. I think you're flying down in a few days, if I'm not, to kick off the Antarctica season. Um,
Yep.
what's what's exciting you about this Antarctica season or the next one, um, coming up here?
So Quark has a long history working with helicopters. So for me personally, my first time was in 2012 with Quark going to the North Pole on icebreakers. But the helicopter experience with Quark goes back to the 90s. And uh, we've now moved the helicopter operations onto Ultramarine. This is now our fourth Antarctic season that we'll be running Ultramarine. And I'm excited about the fact that it gets better and better each season. So even with that experience in helicopters and operating ships, there are still some learnings that we achieve every season. And one of the learnings that we passed on to our operations team was the desire for more time in Antarctica. Of course, that's something we always want is more time, but we managed to convince them that with the Ultramarine helicopter program, we'd really benefit from an extra day. And starting this season, we do have an extra day on our Antarctic Explorer programs, which gives us the opportunity to really seek out good weather, which is a really important factor for running our helicopter program. So some days we'll be waiting for good weather. And of course, we make great use of that time by leaning into our Zodiacs and paddle programs. And then having that extra day there gives us more and more opportunities to utilize those helicopters in Antarctica, whether that be for flight scene, which is included for everyone, or whether that be for the various heli-enabled activities that we offer, depending on the itinerary.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I've given you control of the deck, and if you'd like to kind of go through the deck as you want, go ahead.
All right. Um, there we are. So yeah, the this is a picture of flight scene over Antarctica. So this is an activity that we include for everyone on all our Antarctic voyages. So it's included in your fare with coming on board Ultramarine is the opportunity to go up in the helicopters and really take in Antarctica in a whole different dimension. There's no other way of really seeing Antarctica this way. Um, it allows you to get over the ice cap. You got great opportunities. Even here, you can see like it's really nice viewing big tabular icebergs from Zodiacs. And then when you get up into the helicopters, you're able to get a whole nother perspective on icebergs and really just the vastness of Antarctica. We
Now
also
this is
offer,
interesting. This is heli landing. Like I know you do include flight seeing for everybody, which is
yep.
great. That's unheard of in the industry. I know there are some other operators that do have helicopters on board, and predominantly it's an extra fee to go on those. But Quark includes the flight seeing for everybody. Just out of curiosity, we do get this asked sometimes on the longer voyages now. Was they were about 10 nights long. I think now they're 11 nights sorry, there were 9 nights and now they're 11 nights, 10 nights. If there was good weather, would there be an additional um, potential another flight seeing opportunity for those guests, or is it only one?
Yeah, it's something that we have done in the past. We really look at the overall voyage arc and voyage objectives because there is a lot that we like to achieve. If we recognize the opportunity for another unique flight scene opportunity, then it's definitely something that we have done in the past and are open to continuing to do is yeah, maximizing the opportunities for getting out in the helicopters.
Nice. And I saw your next slide. You had the helicopter actually on the ice. Talk to me about that one there.
Yeah, so we take a team of mountain guides on board, and it does take some reconnaissance to make sure we do this safely. So we have yeah, experienced mountain guides who are able to probe the surface and find places that we can set up a landing site at. And we do a program that we call the exclusive heli landing. So this is an opportunity to go to a remote point in Antarctica and really get a nice view of the area. Gives you a good vantage point, really gives you a sense of scale, as well as the remoteness that explorers from the past would have felt here on the Antarctic, either whether that be on the ice sheet or on the rock landings that we do there.
Yeah, and I know a lot of our guests have booked the heli landing. It's an incredible value. It is an extra cost on top of the expedition cruise fare for Cork, but at 395 per person, it was I think it's an amazing value to try and get this. But I think there's only what 10 spots, if less. So there's very few on each voyage that can opt in for that. So anyone who does want to do a heli landing, we always say you got to book early for these voyages to get that option on there.
Yeah, it's definitely the advantage to booking in advance. And I mean, that's also part of the reason that we offer flight scene for everyone because everyone wants to do something with in the helicopters. You're on a ship that was purpose built for running helicopters in the polar regions. So it's, as you mentioned, Thomas, we're the only ship that is offering helicopter activity as an included activity for everyone. That's all trips in Antarctica as well as Greenland and the Canadian Arctic. You're able to get out in the helicopters for that flight scene experience as part of your cruise fare.
Great stuff. And I know Quark just launched a couple of new itineraries that are helicopter focused for 2025 in November and December. Can you talk to us a bit about that one?
Yeah, so again, this came from feedback from the field. So we had some senior members of our operations team on board a couple of years ago, and we gave them the feedback. They were asking how we can utilize the helicopters more, and we said, well, if you build an itinerary that's really focused on the helicopters, obviously it's not the only way we'll explore, but by making an itinerary focused on the helicopters, it gives us more opportunities to make sure the ship's in the right spot because a big part of using helicopters as well is making sure we're not disturbing the wildlife and not disturbing others that are in the area. So one thing that's really special about this itinerary is we plan to go to the more remote regions in Antarctica where we go to places sometimes where there's no other ships around where we are, and we can if it's not suitable for helicopters or maybe we've already accomplished our helicopter objectives, it gives really great remote zodiac opportunities and paddling opportunities. But of course, the core is what we're aiming to on this voyage is to get in a helicopter landing for everyone as well as multiple flight scene opportunities.
Oh man, that's so cool because literally you could be going somewhere where perhaps no one's ever stepped foot on before, which is like hard to think on this planet there's any places left like that.
Yeah, it is really magical to go places where maybe no one else has been before, and that is we are constantly looking for new places to land. when we're flight seeing, we have our pilots looking for places that they look like will be safe places to go. And when we have a little extra time on our hands, the mountain guides go and do reconnaissance to look for places where we can go that we haven't been before, and likely no one has been there before us.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I think I know what I want to switch over to the Arctic side. There's a lot of things coming in. So the quick summary for those that don't know the Arctic that well, it kind of encompasses three main regions. You've got Svalbard, Greenland slash Iceland, and I'm kind of lumping them together because a lot of the times Iceland can be done in isolation, but a lot of times Iceland is a jumping off point for reaching Greenland. And then you also have the Canadian Arctic. Um, we're going to go lightly on Svalbard onto the next slide, Jake, and the next one again. So Svalbard is definitely like one of the most well-known areas of the high Arctic. You know, it's Longyearbyen, Spitsbergen. You've got iconic wildlife to see, like polar bears and beautiful landscapes and walrus. And this is, I mean, Jake, we can go into a lot more. However, Quark doesn't use helicopters in Svalbard. For regulations, there's no helicopters permitted in the area. So Ultramarine will sail up in the Svalbard area for a short period of time and then quickly move on towards Greenland, Canada, where helicopters can be used. And especially when you have these wonderful tools at your disposal, you're able to maximize and really penetrate into other areas of Greenland and Canada that no one else can really get to. But ultimately, in the end, the Arctic seasons start in Svalbard, and then they kind of transition over to Greenland. And Greenland is typically done in, I'll let you kind of take over, Jake, is kind of more starting in about end of June, mid-June, and then onwards to the summer. So what excites you about the coming Arctic season and what Quark's going to be delivering in the coming season?
Yeah, so I've just returned from working on Ultramarine in Greenland. We were exploring West Greenland in July, and then I've just got back from exploring South Greenland in September. And yeah, I'm excited to return to these regions next season or next Arctic season. It really is an incredible vessel to call home in the polar regions. So it's very comfortable aboard, but what really makes it impressive is the platform that it provides us with to explore these remote areas. So we have our Zodiac hangar is close to the water. It allows us to quickly deploy our Zodiacs. We can have 20 Zodiacs on the water at a time, which allows us to maximize off-ship opportunities. So we can have everyone out in the Zodiacs at the same time, whether that be for a Zodiac cruise or a Zodiac landing. We have our paddle craft as well. The marina deck, which you can see at the back of the ship there, is the main platform that we use for embarking the Zodiac. So this allows a very efficient embarkation to multiple Zodiacs at a time. And we also have the side gates there. And we have multiple paddlecraft on board, so that allows you to experience the polar regions in more ways. You can get a little bit closer to the action there, have some more silence by paddling around there. But what truly makes Ultramarine one of a kind is that she was built to be the perfect platform for running helicopters in a safe and efficient way in the polar regions. And there's really no other vessel like her. There's the odd other vessel out there that has helicopters on board, but Ultramarine has two helicopters, two helipads, and a large expedition team with extensive training in running helicopter operations. So this allows us to do things not only safely, but efficiently. So efficiency is a really important part of what we do as well, to be able to maximize your time. And I find Greenland and Canada, it really feels to me like we're making the most of what Ultramarine was built to do. So there's great opportunities for utilizing the helicopters in Greenland. Again, we have flight seeing as an included activity. We also have our ice sheet experience, which we offer on our Southern Greenland voyage. So this is truly one of a kind offering that we have here for all guests. So this was on the voyage that I just returned from in September, where we included the ice sheet experience for all guests on board. And we actually set a new record here. We landed 170 guests on the Greenland ice cap in one day. So not everyone was there at the same time. It's still like an exclusive experience, as you can see from these pictures here. But we're really leaning into our helicopter expertise to be able to get everyone on the Greenland ice cap. And I remember saying to these guests when they arrived there, this you're stepping foot somewhere that very few people will ever reach in their lifetime. And it really is a special experience to get there in the helicopters. And another part of it is just obviously, the destination is exciting, getting onto the Greenland ice cap, but just flying over the Greenland ice cap and getting this special sense of sixth scale for where we are, it's such an amazing place to explore with the helicopters. And thankfully, we often get good weather in West Greenland as well that allow us to lean into our helicopters more. But of course, when conditions are not suitable for helicopters, we have lots of other ways to explore, which we did a lot of that last season as well. We had some great hiking opportunities, we had some great paddling opportunities. And another great thing about West Greenland is our community visits. So Quark has really invested a lot of time and energy into our relationships with the local communities. And it's really important to us to have that personal connection with the places that we're visiting. And we see that with the cultural experiences that we get there. We often end up playing a football game, soccer game with the local communities. And it's a very special part of what we do in West Greenland, as well as the Canadian Arctic as well. And
Yeah, and that is definitely something that Cork is, if I recall, really worked with the local communities to actually try to bring economic benefit to those communities as well. So it isn't just a ship showing up and leaving. You're really involving the local communities, not just off the ship, because I know there's some things you probably want to talk about, which is um, there's some optional activities that one can do off the ship that include the community. There's also a really unique program coming up, or that's already on with the ship, which is the Tundra to Table, which I think you're going to talk about next, which is an amazing culinary experience that we've had. If you want to go to the next slide, that a lot of our guests have come back raving about, is this Tundra to Table. Talk to us a bit more about how this came to be, and what it is, first of all, how it came to be, and just what the reactions have been for with this program.
yeah, so Quark has partnered with Greenlandic chefs that they actually come on board, and they're part of our team on board. So they're doing this culinary experience. Another special part of what they're doing is they're like part of our expedition team. So you often see them out there on the excursions with us. But then their main program that they're offering is this Tundra to Table Inuit culinary experience, where they're preparing these extraordinary meals with locally sourced ingredients. It's really like fine dining meets an incredible cultural experience. And there's multiple courses to the meals. They even tailor them based on dietary requirements that they're told about in advance. And another really special part about this program is the intimate setting which it's delivered in, where they'll tell you more about the food and the way the food's prepared. And then if you're lucky, they may join you for a glass of wine at the end of dinner as well, and talk a little bit more about their culture and their life in Greenland.
Yeah, no, I can't talk about how special this program is. We've had some guests come back from this, and they talk about this was actually the highlight of their voyage, was spending not just an hour. It's like sometimes 4 hours, just sitting there, even dinner's ended, and just listening and talking with the local chefs from Greenland. It's really an awesome program, and kudos to Cork for putting this together. Okay. Of course, Northern Lights. So this is one of those. This is one of the Solar Max years where you've been hearing all through the news, like, or I don't know who's watching here is in the north part of the U.S. or southern part of Canada, but we're seeing Aurora Borealis is far further south than I think we've seen in decades. because this is one of the epic Northern Lights years. We're in a maximum peak. It's a 11-year cycle, and eventually it'll start coming back down again. But we're at the peak of the solar um, conditions that create the aurora borealis. And so Greenland in the southern in the late latter half of this year, which is more like August, September, you get some really great aurora borealis. Did you see some this year?
We definitely did. Yeah. It's a common question that I get on board is if we get Northern Lights in the middle of the night, will I wake up the ship? And I'm always happy to say yes, yes. And I was able to deliver on that multiple times this season. So yeah, we got some really good Aurora Borealis sightings there.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I want to quickly, we're getting a little tight on time here, but let's fly through the Canadian Arctic. This is the next half of the season for Ultramarine, and then this is a really special place to me. This is where I started my polar career, was in the Canadian Arctic, Baffin Island and Devon Island and Cornwallis and Somerset. But Jake, I want to let you have the stage here for a bit. It's not about me, it's about Quark. So what is it about that excites you about the Canadian Arctic and the itineraries that Quark does in that region?
So Quark has a long history operating in the Canadian Arctic from a Northwest Passage transcends, and now we're really opening up the high Arctic of Canada by doing this voyage that aims to get through Hell's Gate and up to Axel Heiberg Island. And we successfully did this voyage in August, and it really was an incredible feat to get there with Ultramarine. You know, you can look on ship trackers and see what other traffic's out there, and the Ultramarine was literally the only ship up in that area, and it's really remote feeling. I mean, that's the name of the itinerary, is Canada's remote Arctic. So I'm really excited to head up there next year. And also our Northwest Passage voyage, so the one that does West Greenland and through the Northwest Passage into Canada, is that's really one of my all-time favorite itineraries that we do. It includes so much of what makes the Arctic special. So in West Greenland, you can get those beautiful hiking opportunities, landscapes, ice, the cultural experiences that I mentioned with our community visits, as well as when you move into Canada, you still have the opportunity for different cultural experiences as well as more wildlife experiences. So some of the best polar bear experiences that I've had have been in the Canadian Arctic, as well as we get lucky by seeing sometimes whale experiences. You could get beluga whales. If you're very lucky, you could even get narwhal there. So it's just such a great mix of what the Arctic has to offer. And this is all done while following in the footsteps of heroic explorers seeking the Northwest Passage.
Very nice. And the time of year to go is generally the July, August timeframe, even into September. Cannot really go much earlier because of the ice up in Lancaster Sound, Northwest Passage is too much ice to get in. And by July, most of it is melted enough that the ships can start going.
Yeah.
I think, Jake, if you go to the next slide, this is kind of the itinerary that you were just talking about, going through the Northwest Passage. Some itineraries start in Greenland, which is Kangerlussuaq, and then kind of head up to Resolute. This is, as it says, the legendary Arctic sea route. Do you want to just walk us through this one in the next few slides?
Yeah, sure. So flying into Kangerlussuaq is it's a great port for embarkation. It's got a long runway, nice, reliable for operations, and a beautiful fjord to transit through on our way out. And then we have the opportunity to explore some of the highlights that West Greenland has to offer us. It's a great opportunity for getting out in the helicopters as well, and then making our way across the Davis Strait towards Baffin Island there, and then making our way up towards the Northwest Passage. And we've done some really great flight scene with the helicopters here along Baffin Island, and making our way up towards Lancaster Sound there. And it's also a place that we always have our eye out for wildlife. And yeah, once we get into Lancaster Sound, I'm really hoping to get some polar bears as well as some of the other iconic wildlife that's mentioned here.
Very nice. Yeah, so
And yeah,
typically on these trips, you've your communities, you've got your wildlife, you got some epic landscapes. It's kind of got it all, doesn't it?
it really does. It has a great mix of everything. And yeah, one of the communities that we like to visit in the Canadian Arctic is Arctic Bay. So here's some pictures from that. It's a small remote community that we've had some really nice visits with, and it's a good way for guests to appreciate the long history of human activity in the Canadian Arctic. And this is also some of the wildlife that we hope to see while we're there. As I mentioned, so we have got some really good polar bears. Of course, polar bears are never a guarantee, but the Canadian Arctic has been a place that's been known to deliver some great polar bear experiences. Um, we have beluga whale here, the white whale at the bottom right. And yeah, one of the amazing things about beluga whale is that if you do have an encounter with them, it's usually more than just a couple. Like some of the times we've actually seen hundreds of them, and we've also seen them from the helicopters before as well. And yeah, we plan to visit Beachy Island on this voyage as well. A legendary site, and has lots of history there, and really leaning into the what the helicopters can offer in terms of a vantage point for seeing what these places look like from the sky. So this is Devon Island. It really gives you yeah, a sense of the scale there when you're flying over them in the helicopters. And um, sometimes with the helicopters, we could end up with really unique wildlife experiences. So this was a couple of years ago when I was in the Canadian Arctic. We happened to see hundreds of beluga whales here along the shoreline. Well, that's the little white dots that you can see through the window there. So this was a pretty incredible experience that we weren't expecting to get, but just while out taking in the beautiful landscapes in the Canadian Arctic, we get this amazing wildlife encounter. And then also last season, they happened to see narwhal from the helicopter. So it's pretty amazing. Obviously, you can see from these pictures, especially the one on the left, that they're taken from further away. So the one on the right would be with like more of a zoom lens, or you can use binoculars, because we're not going to be buzzing right over wildlife. Of course, we're going to be respectful distance from them. But it is amazing what the helicopters are able to do for some of these wildlife encounters.
Exactly. And Jason, I think you and I, in our when we were doing some private trips up in the high Arctic, we used helicopters and definitely noticed that from way high up, the wildlife, you have to be, I think, over 1,000 feet or so.
Yeah.
Generally, you don't disturb the wildlife, and definitely you don't go searching for it. But if you happen to come across, it's definitely like one of those um, your surprise moments that are just that you didn't expect to get.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah,
stories we
what
can tell.
yeah, no. So for sure, Canada's remote Arctic is near and dear to our heart, and I love the fact that Cork does this trip that goes way up to Axel Heiberg Island. Um, it is very unique in our view, where most ships, if they and there's very few ships, first of all, that go through the Northwest Passage these days. Maybe there's but let alone, and they most of them either transect the whole Northwest Passage and go through, or some kind of enter the Northwest Passage and then kind of come back out again. But this trip here, this Canada's Remote Arctic, is what we call a cabotage voyage, where the ship starts and ends in Canada, in out of Resolute, and is dedicated to just explore the super high regions. We had some guests on this past season, and the nice thing is really easy to get in and out of from Calgary, just to fly and join the ship, and then you don't have to spend days sailing from Greenland across to get to the Arctic, which is one of the barriers from why most ships don't go up there, is because of the length of time it takes to get there. But it's an express program, so to say, because you basically take the plane and join in the ship in Resolute, and then right away you're in the high Arctic, and you get to explore the super high Arctic, which is that Axel Heiberg Ellesmere Island place. So um, our guest came back raving about it. Jake, the expedition team was up there. I think this was the first year it was done, maybe the second year it was done. Talk to me, like, what was it what was awesome about it? What did you like about it? I know the whole team this year was buzzing that they got to get up to Axel Heiberg. So saw lots of social media posts about it. share with us a few moments, if you could.
Yeah, I mean, this voyage really speaks to the heart of the expedition spirit at Quark is wanting to go beyond, like go further north than other ships are going, getting into these very remote islands, leaning into the expertise of the captain, and we had an ice pilot on board with us to really analyze the ice charts and watch what the ice is doing, and then time it to get that best moment to go through Hellgate and up there to Axel Heiberg Island. And when they got there, it was just some amazing helicopter experiences. Again, they were able to go explore this really remote area with helicopters, but also with a Zodiac landing. So they got in a lot in this one day. There was their ice moving around, so they made the wise decision. They made a calculated decision about when to go through there, and then we're very happy with the experience that they got there, and then headed back south to continue their exploration after successfully getting to Axel Heiberg Island, because there is a lot of ice in that area. It's something that the bridge team closely monitors to get our timing right to get up there.
No doubt, no doubt. These are just epic shots, epic. So we've talked a lot a bit about the off ship experience, but also talk to us a bit more just the culture on the ship on a whole. Like, what is it that someone should expect on a Quark trip?
Yeah, it's really important to us to educate you about where we're going. Make sure that you recognize how special these regions are. Learn a little bit more about the wildlife that calls this place home, as well as the cultures, indigenous cultures that have been there for years, which call this home as well. So we have a robust education program on board. We have staff that are all around the ship. They'll be in the lounge looking for wildlife, answering any questions that you have. You'll see them in the dining rooms, joining you for some meals. And we'll have our daily recaps and briefings where you'll hear from the team about what we've seen that day, about from the expedition leader about what we aim to do the following day. And we do offer this robust portfolio of included activities as well. So we have our photography program where there'll be a photography guide on board giving some talks and some tips, as well as being around to answer questions. Of course, there's the polar plunge for those that choose to partake in this activity. And then the Zodiac operations still remain the core of what we do. So as much as we love what the helicopters allow us to do, it's not all about the helicopters. We're very much using our Zodiacs. As I mentioned, we have enough Zodiacs to get everyone off the ship at the same time. We have paddlecraft. When we offer flight scene, it's an included activity for everyone on board. And then, of course, the hiking program as well. So we look for landing sites where we can offer a range of hiking activities, depending on how far or how fast you'd like to go, and all the way down to people who would like more of a contemplative experience, just sticking around the beach, looking for the different flowers that you can see around and just taking in the landscapes.
Very cool. Yeah, you've also got a lot of the new kind of adventure options that are not normal to the industry, because you're kind of using helicopters to pull those off. Walk us quickly through those helicopter kind of options that you have in Greenland.
Yeah, so we have the exclusive heli landing program, which we offer in both Antarctica and in Greenland. And we also have the camping program, which is that one on the top middle area, which is showing where you fly to a remote campsite in Greenland. And this is a program where we work with local partners there, and they actually run this remote field camp where you're able to get the camping experience, but with some nice touches of comfort, as well as a culinary experience as well, eating some of the local food. And we do also have our paddle programs as a part of our adventure options. We've got sea kayaking on a lot of the trips. We have paddle excursion program on nearly every trip we offer. And then down in Antarctica, we've got the stand-up paddleboard program as well. And and you can also see mountain biking here. So we do offer the mountain biking program on our West Greenland itineraries as well.
Very nicely. Very nice. And before we get into questions, I know you got some onboard. I think you had a slide just talking about the onboard experience with food and what the ship amenities are like. Ultimately, I would say Quark has got between the ships, I mean, Quark doesn't call themselves luxury, but most people that have gone on the ship will say it's definitely a luxury experience with the saunas and the fitness centers and really good food. And of course, you can't really put a value to it as the expedition team itself, which is one of the top rated teams. And there's no entertainment on board these ships with like flamenco dancers. The entertainment would be the expedition team, which really tries to, and this goes across all operators, the expedition teams are the stars of the show, providing enrichment to the experience that everyone sees. I mean, Jake, you're the expedition leader. Talk to me, like, what is it that brings your joy to delivering experience to the guests who are on board?
Yeah, it's really about the people for me. Like it's I love visiting these remote regions, but after doing it for 14 years, it really does become more about the people and seeing how the polar regions changes them. So I get the variety of guests that we get on board from many different nations, the expedition team, getting to work with such an experienced team with such a variety of life experiences and education. It really makes it special for me being the expedition leader. It's it's all about the people for me. And we're talking about the ships, the expedition is really the focus of Quark and what the Quark product is. However, we have moved to over the years, we've moved to this much nicer ship that we have. So it's a lot more than people would have experienced if they traveled with Quark, 10 or 20 years ago. The meals, the chef prepared really tasty meals, offering a variety of dietary needs. The vegetarian meals have gotten a lot better over the years, I've noticed. We have got a great library on all the ships. The fitness centers are getting better because people are more focused on personal well-being. We've got yoga mats. We've got on Ultramarine, there's a yoga studio if you want to do that. Both the ships have saunas, um, and they both just give really good platforms for exploring the area. So as much as we love the off-ship experiences, it's also really important to have a good platform for when you're moving around, for what you can see from the ship as you're exploring these amazing fjords, and also the nice touches of comfort that we have on board. It really feels like a premium product that we're able to offer with these ships.
Great stuff. Well, I guess I mean, in a nutshell, Jake, if you had to say, hey, why book with Quark? What you want to talk to the viewers here? What's your kind of like three main bullet points?
Yeah, it's important to remember like Quark is a pioneer in the industry, running expeditions in the polar regions. We've been doing it since 1991, and exploration's really at the heart of everything that we do. So even though we've been going to these places for so many years, we continue to seek out new places to go. We don't just go to the same sites on every voyage. We're always looking for new places to explore. And this is something that really excites the expedition team. And of course, it's not all about the expedition team, but it's also that excitement is contagious. When guests get to see and experience this exploration spirit that we have on board, it really makes everyone excited about where we're going. So the itineraries that we're doing, there's a lot of innovation with these itineraries. They're well thought out. They're planned extensively before we do a new itinerary. We engage with local partners. We engage with the communities to really enhance your experience, and doing our best to have a positive impact on the places that we're visiting. The ships, as I mentioned, they really do allow you to access these remote regions in comfort. So Ultramarine in particular, with her helicopters, allow you to experience the polar regions like no other vessel can. Like a lot of the things I've talked about that we're doing with our helicopters here, there's really no other ship in the world that can do what we're doing to land this many people on the Greenland ice cap, to have up to 200 people on a ship that all get to get this flight scene experience over Antarctica, over Greenland and Canada. There's really no other ship that can do that. And then the expedition team, on Ultramarine, we have over 30 people on the expedition team, and they're not only ensuring your safety and comfort along the way, they're enhancing your experience every step of the way, with their education, their life experiences, and their friendliness. It's really what makes it special.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jake. We're going to open it up right in a minute to the questions and answers. I'm just going to take it back. First of all, anyone who's attended, thank you very much for attending. You've got for anyone who's attended and registered, you get a $250 USD onboard credit per person if you do make a booking with any Quark Expeditions voyage made before November 30th with the Polar Adventure Company. And then to that end, just trying to get to the next slide for some reason, doesn't want to go. We're not going to get into this. People love the Polar Adventure Company only because we're trusted specialists. We'll really match people up with the right experience and really try to be by your side from start to finish. We work with you on a consultative basis, really just trying to understand what you're looking for, match you up with the right trip, reserve and confirm, and then we prepare to travel. I'm flying through this because I want to get to the Q&A. If you want to know more about why to book with Polar Adventure Travel, use our website. We really are the trusted experts that know the Arctic and Antarctica intimately from all the operators, from all the geography, and can really talk to you about when the right time to go is and find the right trip for you. The best tools for you to use is our website. We've got a massive inventory of trips. For this particular one, if you want to find Quark, you can go to our trip filters, you can go to operators, you can find Quark, and you can find all the Arctic and Antarctica voyages. But ultimately, if you don't want to do the legwork, just call us. Contact us, Explore Polar Adventure, or call us at our number, and we'll do the legwork after consulting with you to what trip is you want. So now, thank you very much. Let's the questions. I'm going to have Clayton come on board. Clayton, let's answer a few questions, and then we'll have to probably get back to one with those ones that we didn't get to, because I can see there's a lot of questions here. Clayton, over to you.
There's just a few of them, actually. Question number one, is there an extra cost for mountain biking? Jake.
There is an extra cost for mountain biking. Yes, it's an adventure option that comes with an extra cost. So that will be on the rates.
Those are the Green. There's only a few departures that have mountain biking, and that's in the Greenland itineraries, right?
Yeah, there's next season we have 2 voyages in West Greenland that offer the mountain biking adventure option.
Okay. How far in advance do you suggest to book? Are you selling 2026 and 2027 yet? That's, I guess, for Tom.
All right, maybe I'll let so there are definitely options for 2025 for Arctic. For Antarctica, if we're talking Antarctica, this coming season, there's still some left for November, and I'd say probably some departures are still available for February, but I know it's getting really tight on inventory. Ideally, the further out you book, the better you get, the better early booking discounts. Because I know Quark, Jake, you're on the expedition team, not so much on the selling side, but from a selling side where we do most of the bookings, we notice that Quark's definitely been great at having good early booking bonuses where the savings are highest, and as you get closer to the voyage, they start filling up and the savings get reduced. There's of course some voyages that are anomalies to that, but for the most part, it's usually always better to book as soon as the trip comes out. Quark has just launched its 2026 Arctic departures just about a week ago, and we'll have to talk about I think we've all talked about it, Jason and Clayton, is the new solar eclipse voyage coming up in Arctic 2026.
Yeah, that'll fill up quick.
but we can talk about Eclipse voyages another time.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
one thing I find on board regarding how far in advance the book is, it depends if the adventure options are important to you, then that's
Very good
something
point.
that's really important, because I get a lot of guests that come and say, I want to do the heli landing experience, but it's been sold out. It was sold out when I booked my trip. And that's if that's important to you, then you really want to book further in advance, because once those spots are booked out, then we do cap the program, because we have lots of objectives to deliver on. So we don't want to overcommit to what we're able to do.
Okay, sorry, just 1 second. Ellen had her hand up. We can't, everybody's muted on the other side, but we can take your question if you want to pop it into the Q&A there. Sorry.
And if
and
not,
then-
Ellen, you can always drop us an email. We'll certainly get back to you as well.
That's true. So we had a question as well from Arian there about helicopter flights. It's only for certain itineraries. We answered that in the chat. They're offered only on the Ultramarine, right? You don't have any helicopters on any other voyage or any other ship. And all programs
exactly.
except for Svalbard, right?
All itineraries except for Svalbard. We have we have a helicopter program where we include flight scene for everyone, and then the different landing activities do vary based on the itinerary. But for every itinerary except for Svalbard, there is some helicopter programs included, including some all-inclusive ones where everyone gets to go flight scene.
Okay, and then we have one other question from Arian there to Jake. As an expedition leader, how did you choose Quark versus some of the other expedition companies? What did you notice about Quark ships in your team that is a higher caliber than some of your other companies? And it says you may have already answered this, which I think you may have. So
yeah, so Quark is the first company that I got introduced to in the polar regions, and I know there's a lot of companies out there. Quark, I really enjoy the team that I work with, both on the ship and in the office supporting us. I feel like the thought and planning that goes into the expeditions that we do is it's very meticulous. It's well thought out. I feel like I'm set up for success when I'm arriving to the ship, and everyone that I work with on board, it really becomes like family. So I'm sure there's lots of great ships out there and lots of great people out there, but the people that I work with are my favorite.
great. All right.
And who's your favorite polar travel agency? I'm just wondering, just out of curiosity.
Oh, of course, Thomas. Yes.
Okay, and then we have one more. And it just says, let's see. Just have to reprieve this. There you go. It just says Clayton is my favorite. Not sure who typed that in, but I'd like to thank you.
That was me. I typed that in, I admit.
Okay, well,
Couldn't
I think
possibly have been me.
Thank you very much, Clayton. I think that's the last question. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Jake, huge thank you for coming on and talking a little bit more about your experience with Quark. Very much appreciated. And we look forward to sending some more guests the Quark way. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me here, and I hope to see some of you guys on board with us.
That just came in.
Okay.
Will you be on the Explorer on the 15th, Jake? Also from Arian.
The 15th of November?
I don't know.
What you mean?
Just says the 15th.
No, I'm going to be on Ultramarine from January 29th until March 29th. So I'm doing some Crossing the Circle trips, Antarctic Explorer, as well as our Patagonia trip this season.
Sorry, yes, it was yes on the 15th.
On the
That's
15th?
what we're talking about. Okay,
that will be
Ryan
McDevitt will be expedition leader on that.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Have a great day. Hey, Tom, don't forget to hit stop meeting.